Welcome to my channel, Value Old Coins. Today videos is one you won't to miss. We're diving into the world of coins. So let's get it started. The 1979 D Washington quarter, minted at the Denver Mint in the state of Colorado, is a pivotal coin from the late 20th century. Bearing the familiar portrait of George Washington on the obverse, the coin holds a special place in the history of U.S. numismatics, not because of its rarity, but due to its role in a time of significant economic, political, and cultural transitions in the United States. This extensive account offers a deep dive into the design, symbolism, minting characteristics, historical background, and collectible aspects of the 1979 D quarter, composed as a series of long, immersive paragraphs intended for a reading session of about 30 minutes. Obverse. Design. Washington's enduring image and national ideals. The obverse of the 1979 D Washington quarter features a sharply defined left-facing bust of George Washington, a foundational figure in American history, both as Commander-in-Chief of the Continental Army and the first President of the United States. This iconic design was created by John Flanagan in 1932 to honor the 200th anniversary of Washington's birth. The decision to place Washington's image on the quarter was somewhat controversial at the time, as it broke the U.S. Mint's tradition of using allegorical female figures on coinage. However, Washington's portrait ultimately became a lasting symbol of American leadership and dignity. The portrait is encircled by inscriptions that reflect American values. At the top of the coin sits the word "Liberty," rendered in bold serifed letters, reinforcing the central philosophy of the nation's founding. To the left of the bust is the motto, "In God We Trust," a phrase that has appeared on U.S. coins since the mid-19th century and was officially mandated for all coins by Congress in 1955. Beneath the bust appears the year of minting, 1979, anchoring the coin in a decade marked by inflation, energy crises, and Cold War tensions. Just to the right of the ribbon in Washington's hair is the D mint mark, denoting that the coin was struck at the Denver Mint, a major U.S. mint facility responsible for producing circulation coinage. Though subtle changes in die, wear, and production quality occur year to year, the 1979 D quarter retained all of Flanagan's core design elements, representing consistency and tradition at a time when many Americans longed for stability amidst social and economic upheaval. Reverse. Design. The heraldic eagle and symbols of strength and peace. The reverse of the coin is dominated by a bold and dynamic depiction of a heraldic eagle with wings spread wide, gripping a bundle of arrows in its talons. Designed by Flanagan, as well, this image draws inspiration from the Great Seal of the United States, symbolizing strength, vigilance, and the readiness to defend national values. Positioned just below the eagle is an olive branch, a powerful symbol of peace, suggesting that while the nation stands prepared for conflict, it ultimately aspires toward diplomatic resolution. At the very top of the reverse, arching across the rim, is the inscription United States of America, clearly identifying the country of origin. Beneath it, in slightly smaller font, is the national motto in Latin, E pluribus unum, out of many, one. This motto alludes to the unity of the 50 states and the blending of diverse people into one democratic society. At the bottom of the coin appears the denomination quarter dollar, informing the holder of its 25-cent value. The artistry of the eagle, its muscular body, layered feathers, and outstretched talons, expresses a visual narrative of both power and nobility. This reverse design would remain in use until 1998, after which it was replaced by the rotating state-themed designs of the 50 State Quarters program starting in 1999. Minting data and circulation context. The Denver Mint struck a massive total of 789,780 Washington quarters in 1979. This high mintage reflects not only the coin's essential role in daily commerce, but also the robust demand for coinage during an era of economic uncertainty and inflation. With nearly 500 million coins minted, the 1979 D quarter is exceedingly common in circulated condition and still appears in pocket change more than 4 decades later. This was a period of increasing demand for small denomination coinage, partially due to inflation eating away at the purchasing power of the dollar. In 1979, the average price of a movie ticket was around $2.50, a loaf of bread cost about 50 cents, and a gallon of gas hovered near 90 cents. The quarter, therefore, was a highly functional denomination in daily transactions, often used in vending machines, parking meters, toll booths, laundromats, and telephones. Its widespread utility contributed to the heavy wear most surviving. Examples now display, with noticeable smoothing of design elements such as Washington's hair, the eagle's wings, and the fine edges of the lettering, metal composition, and physical characteristics. The 1979 D quarter was composed of the standard copper-nickel-clad composition adopted after the Coinage Act of 1965, which eliminated silver from circulating dimes and quarters due to rising bullion prices. The composition is outer layers, 75% copper and 25% nickel core, pure copper. This three-layered structure gives the coin its distinctive silvery appearance, with a visible copper stripe on the edge, often referred to as the sandwich effect. The specifications of the 1979 D quarter include diameter, 24.26 millimeters, thickness, 1.75 millimeters, weight, 5.67 grams, edge, reeded, approximately 119 reeds. These standardized dimensions ensured the coin's compatibility with automated vending and sorting machines, which were becoming more prevalent in the 1970s. Economic and historical backdrop of 1979. The year 1979 was a time of significant economic tension and geopolitical stress for the United States. Domestically, the nation grappled with stagflation, a toxic mix of stagnant economic growth and rising inflation. The energy crisis worsened with a second oil shock, leading to long lines at gas stations and increased public anxiety over the nation's dependence on foreign oil. Politically, President Jimmy Carter faced growing criticism for his handling of economic policy and foreign affairs, particularly as the Iranian Revolution unfolded and the U.S. Embassy in Tehran was stormed later that year, setting the stage for the 444-day hostage crisis. In this context, the 1979 D quarter is more than just a coin. It is a physical relic of a nation under stress. It passed through countless hands during a time of frustration, transition, and reflection. Although it carries no visual reference to these events, the coin is embedded in the material culture of the era: collectibility, grading, and errors. For most collectors, the 1979 D quarter in circulated condition is worth only face value, 25 cents. However, uncirculated specimens or those graded MS65 or higher can be worth $3 to $15, depending on condition, luster, and strike quality. Coins that are MS67 or above are considerably scarcer and may sell for $75 or more, especially if certified by top grading companies such as PCGS or NGC. Though not known for many famous errors, there are a few varieties and anomalies from the 1979 D quarter that attract specialist interest. These include off-center strikes, where the design is shifted significantly off the planche, clipped planches, where a portion of the coin is missing due to a misfeed in the striking process, die cracks and cuds caused by broken or aging dies, repunched mint marks, RPMs, where the D mint mark appears doubled or misaligned due to manual application in older minting procedures. Such error coins can range from $10 to several $100 depending on severity, visibility, and rarity. Preservation and storage. For long-term preservation, 1979 D quarters that are in exceptional condition should be stored carefully to prevent wear or toning. Suggested storage methods include 2x2, cardboard mylar flips for display and labeling, plastic coin capsules to protect against moisture and handling, acid-free coin albums for organizing by date and mint mark, desiccant packets, or dry environments to prevent oxidation, especially for higher-grade or proof-like specimens. Though not made of silver, the copper-nickel surface can still tarnish over time if exposed to chemicals, fingerprints, or humidity. Conclusion: a coin of utility, stability, and symbolism, the 1979 D Washington quarter may not be rare or made of precious metal, but it remains a significant artifact of its time. It represents both continuity and stability in American coinage, featuring design elements unchanged for decades. At the same time, it circulated during a turbulent chapter in U.S. history marked by economic distress, energy shortages, and international uncertainty. Millions of these coins flowed through the hands of everyday Americans, buying groceries, paying tolls, and slipping into payphones, each coin carrying out its role in the machinery of daily life. As a collectible, the 1979 D quarter may be modest in value, but it is rich in narrative. It serves as a reminder that even the most ordinary objects can become historical witnesses, telling stories of a country's struggles, ambitions, and enduring symbols. For numismatists, it is a foundational coin. For historians, a piece of living memory. And for all Americans, a familiar companion from the days when coins were essential to every transaction. The 1991 D Washington quarter is a well-known and widely circulated coin in the United States, minted at the Denver Mint and marked with the D mint mark. Despite being a common coin in circulation today, it holds historical, symbolic, and numismatic importance. This quarter serves not just as a piece of currency but as a tangible artifact, reflecting American values, design evolution, and late 20th century minting technology. Below is a long, detailed exploration of the 1991 D quarter designed to occupy approximately 30 minutes of reading, structured in extended paragraphs to provide a thorough account. Obverse design, George Washington's portrait. And American ideals, the obverse of the 1991 D quarter showcases the iconic image of George Washington, America's first president, facing left. This design by John Flanagan was first introduced in 1932 to mark the 200th anniversary of Washington's birth. It was meant to embody national pride and the enduring legacy of Washington's leadership, and it has since become one of the most instantly recognizable motifs in American numismatics. Around Washington's bust are key inscriptions loaded with national and philosophical significance. At the top is the bold word liberty, a fundamental principle of the American Republic. The placement of the word above Washington's head is symbolically fitting, as it echoes how the U.S. was founded on the ideals of freedom and democratic self-rule. To the left of the portrait is the national motto, "In God We Trust," which was first added to U.S. coinage during the Civil War and became standard on all coins by the 20th century. Beneath the bust lies the date, 1991, anchoring the coin in its specific historical context during the early post-Cold War era. To the right of the bust is the small D mint mark, which indicates that the coin was struck at the Denver Mint in Colorado, one of the main facilities of the United States Mint. Washington's portrait is detailed with stylized hair, tied with a ribbon, and subtle lines indicate the dignified texture of his clothing. Though simple in composition, this design manages to convey strength, honor, and stoic leadership, values that are often attributed to Washington and expected of American leaders. Reverse design, the heraldic eagle and national. The reverse side of the 1991 D quarter features the long-standing heraldic eagle motif designed by John Flanagan, which has been used on quarters since 1932, with the exception of bicentennial issues and later special editions. The eagle is shown with wings spread wide, perched atop a bundle of arrows with an olive branch beneath it. These symbols are profoundly rooted in American iconography. The arrows represent the country's readiness to defend itself militarily, while the olive branch signifies a preference for peace when possible. The inscriptions follow a structured hierarchy, At the top edge of the coin are the words United States of America, asserting the issuing nation's authority. Just beneath that, in smaller print, is the Latin phrase e pluribus unum, which translates to out of many, one, a reference to the unity of the many states forming a single federal republic. Finally, at the bottom, the denomination is spelled out, $quarter. The symmetry of the eagle design and the strategic use of national symbols makes this reverse not only a functional indicator of value, but also a powerful expression of identity, unity, and strength. The reverse design was eventually retired after 1998, when the U.S. Mint launched the 50-state quarters program in 1999, making the 1991 D a part of the final decade of traditional Washington quarters. Mintage and circulation. A coin of the millions, the 1991 D quarter was minted in extremely high numbers, as was typical for modern circulating coinage. The Denver Mint produced approximately 636,693 of these coins. With more than 500 million struck, the coin is extremely common and readily available in circulation even today. This high mintage was due to both the U.S. population growth and increased demand for coins in economic activity during the early 1990s. Most surviving 1991 D quarters today are in circulated condition and bear the typical signs of wear, such as abrasions, flattened reliefs, and loss of fine detail, particularly on the eagle's feathers and Washington's hair. However, uncirculated or mint state examples can still be found, often in rolls or mint sets released by the U.S. Mint. Collectors typically seek out these higher quality specimens, especially those graded MS65 and above by third-party grading. Services like PCGS or NGC, metal composition and technical specifications. The 1991 D quarter was made of a copper-nickel-clad composition, a standard formula introduced in 1965 after the U.S. discontinued using 90% silver in most coins due to rising silver prices. The layered structure consists of outer layers, 75% copper and 25% nickel core, pure copper this. Composition results in a coin that has a sandwich appearance when viewed from the edge, with a visible copper stripe flanked by nickel-colored layers. The quarter has the following physical properties: diameter, 24.26 millimeters, thickness, 1.75 millimeters, weight, 5.67 grams, edge, reeded with 119 grooves. These standard dimensions allowed the coin to work efficiently in vending machines and coin-operated systems, which were widely used throughout the 1990s. Historical and societal context of 1991. The year 1991 was a time of transition and reflection in American history. Internationally, the Cold War came to an official end with the dissolution of the Soviet Union in December of that year. Domestically, President George H.W. Bush was navigating the country through economic uncertainty and geopolitical shifts, including the aftermath of the Gulf War. These events gave Americans a renewed sense of national identity, security concerns, and changing economic priorities. The coin itself, although not a direct commemorative piece, circulated during this moment of historical inflection. It was used by millions of Americans in everyday commerce, from buying newspapers to gumballs, movie tickets to gasoline. In this sense, the 1991 D quarter is a silent witness to a transformative era in U.S. and world history. Collector value and error varieties. Due to its commonality, a circulated 1991 D quarter typically holds no additional numismatic premium and is worth only face value. However, for coins in mint state, MS65 or higher, prices can range from $3 to $20, depending on eye appeal, luster, and strike quality. Coins in MS67 or higher are significantly scarcer and more valuable to collectors, sometimes commanding prices upwards of $100 to $250. A few error coins exist for the 1991 D quarter, although they are relatively rare. These include off-center strikes clipped planchets, double dies, obverse or reverse, die cracks or cuds. Such errors can fetch anywhere from $10 to several $100s, depending on severity and visibility. They are usually authenticated and graded by services such as ANACS, NGC, or PCGS, preservation and display. Tips collectors who wish to retain 1991 D quarters in pristine condition should consider the following. Store in airtight plastic capsules to avoid oxidation and contact damage. Use coin flips made of mylar or other PVC-free materials to prevent chemical damage. Keep in a cool, dry place to avoid tarnishing. Include the coin in certified U.S. mint sets from 1991 for context and completeness. Proper storage is especially important for uncirculated or proof examples, as their value depends heavily on surface quality and the absence of blemishes. Conclusion: a coin of a transitional age, the 1991 D Washington quarter may be ubiquitous, but it encapsulates an important chapter of American monetary and social history. It symbolizes the final phase of the traditional quarter design before the radical redesign that came with the State Quarters series. While not rare or precious in monetary terms, its historical value is undeniable. It is a snapshot of early 1990s America, an era of shifting politics, global realignment, and economic adaptation. In the pocket of an everyday citizen, or in the hands of a discerning collector, the 1991 D quarter serves as both currency and artifact. It reminds us that even the most common coin carries with it the weight of history, design legacy, and national identity, $1/4 at a time. The 1989 D Washington quarter, minted in Denver and bearing the D mint mark, is a common yet historically significant coin in the lineage of American coinage. This coin, part of the long-running Washington quarter series, is emblematic of late 20th century U.S. currency and represents not only a utilitarian monetary unit but also a small piece of the country's broader cultural, political, and numismatic history. Below is a detailed examination, unfolding across multiple paragraphs to provide you with extensive insight, suitable for a 30-minute reading duration. Obverse design. Washington's profile and national ideals, the obverse. Front of the 1989 D quarter features a left-facing portrait of George Washington, the first president of the United States. This design was originally introduced in 1932, crafted by sculptor John Flanagan to commemorate the 200th anniversary of Washington's birth. His portrayal is stoic and dignified, reflecting the serious role he played in the birth and shaping of the nation. Encircling his head, you will find the following inscriptions: Liberty above Washington's head, representing one of the foundational principles upon which the U.S. was established. In God We Trust to the left side of Washington's profile, a national motto adopted on coins beginning in the mid-19th century and officially mandated for U.S. currency by 1956. The date, 1989, appears just below Washington's neck. The small capital letter D, located to the right of the ribbon in Washington's hair, indicates that the coin was struck at the Denver Mint in Colorado. The obverse has remained largely unchanged since 1932, reinforcing a visual and symbolic continuity in American currency. Reverse design, the heraldic eagle, and national strength. The reverse back design, also by John Flanagan, is equally iconic and reflects traditional American symbolism. It features a heraldic eagle with outspread wings, clutching a bundle of arrows in its talons. These arrows symbolize the country's readiness to defend itself, while the olive branches underneath signify a simultaneous desire for peace. The inscriptions on the reverse are as follows: United States of America curves across the top. The Latin phrase e pluribus unum, meaning out of many, one, is placed just beneath the country's name. This motto represents the unity of the American states under a single federal government. Beneath the eagle is the denomination $quarter. The design has a classical elegance and has been used for decades before being replaced by the 50-state quarters program in 1999. Mintage figures and circulation context. In 1989, the Denver Mint produced approximately 896,535,000 Washington quarters. This extremely high mintage means the 1989 D quarter is not considered rare in circulated condition. It was struck for widespread commerce, and millions were used daily in transactions at a time when physical coins still dominated daily purchases. Because of this abundance, the vast majority of 1989 D quarters available today are well circulated, often showing signs of wear such as flattening of the eagle's feathers, dulling of Washington's hair details, and nicks or scratches from general use. However, uncirculated or mint state specimens are of greater interest to collectors, especially those graded MS65 and above. Metal composition and physical characteristics. The 1989 D quarter is composed of a clad metal composition. Introduced in 1965 after the U.S. Mint ceased production of 90% silver quarters due to rising silver prices. The composition is outer layers, 75% copper, 25% nickel core, 100% copper. These clad quarters have a distinctive sandwich look on their edges, with a visible copper core sandwiched between the nickel-colored outer layers. Other physical attributes: diameter, 24-26 mm thickness, 1.75 mm weight, 5.67 grams. Edge, reeded, with 119 ridges. The transition to this clad composition was not only a cost-saving measure, but also a move to ensure long-term sustainability of U.S. coinage materials. Economic and historical context of 1989. The 1989 quarter circulated during a time of relative economic stability in the U.S. under President George H.W. Bush, who had just taken office. This period was marked by the tail end of the Cold War, technological growth, and increasing globalization. In terms of coinage, 1989 saw no major changes or commemorative issues in the quarter series, but it served as a bridge between the traditional coin designs and the more experimental or thematic issues that followed in the 1990s and 2000s. Collectibility and value. Because of the high mintage, most 1989 D quarters in circulated condition are worth only their face. Value, 25 cents. However, coins that have been preserved in exceptional condition, typically graded MS65 or higher, may be worth $5 to $20 or more, depending on the sharpness of strike, surface luster, and the absence of marks or toning. Key factors that can increase value: mint state, uncirculated grade, especially MS67, or higher full strike details, lack of contact marks or blemishes, attractive toning, in some collector circles, major die errors or varieties, e.g., doubled dies off-center strikes. However, error coins from 1989 D quarters are rare. If present, errors like broad strikes, clipped planchets, or die cracks can command higher premiums in auctions and among collectors. Storage and preservation collectors wishing to preserve 1989 D quarters should store them in airtight holders or coin flips made of inert plastic, PVC-free albums with acid-free pages, desiccated environments to prevent corrosion or tarnishing. Even though this coin isn't silver, prolonged exposure to moisture or acidic air can still damage its surfaces and reduce its collectibility. Conclusion: a ubiquitous yet symbolic coin, the 1989 D Washington quarter may be common, but it embodies a significant stretch of American coinage tradition. Its enduring design, rooted in neoclassical aesthetics and strong national symbolism, made it a staple in American pockets for over half a century. While not a rare or high-value coin for most collectors, it serves as a tangible link to both the foundational values of the United States and the everyday life of its citizens at the end of the 20th century. For collectors, it's a nostalgic and symbolic piece. For historians, it's a snapshot of an era, And for numismatists, it is yet another tile in the rich mosaic of American coinage.